everyone. Thank you for joining us on Charting the Way Forward, where we deliver research-informed strategy and intelligence from across the Democratic coalition. This podcast is produced by Way to Win, and I'm your substitute host today. I'm Maddie Medved. I'm the Senior Manager of Digital and Narrative here at Way. And today I'm joined by the one and only Heather Gardner. We are going to get into all things digital, online, what people are talking about online this week, this month, this crazy year, and get to know Heather and her impressive presence online. So Heather is an outspoken voice to be reckoned with in today's digital news landscape, and she's the face of a political satire TikTok and Instagram account, Heather GTV, amassing over 100 million views, more than 500,000 followers across platforms. And so we're going to learn about Heather and get into what political discourse online is currently looking like and what we need to be saying and where we go from here, which is like truly the question we face every day in this current reality. It's like, okay, now where do we go from here? So Heather, before we get into all of the madness, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what kind of content you create and the communities you reach online?
Yeah, sure. I mean, thank you so much for that lovely intro. I think you said it all. I'm a force to be reckoned with. That sounds like makes me sound like an adventure.
You are.
No, but yeah, I've been doing content creation now exclusively as my full-time job, and I put that in quotations for a reason because as we all know, there's so many you're blessed if you can make it your full-time job, and it hasn't always been. But for 5 years now, I've been posting consistently online, and I do political satire. I'm a comedian. I do stand-up all over the country. Really, the reason why I wanted to do political satire as opposed to traditional news reporting, which I do have a traditional journalism degree, and that was something that I did in the early part of my career about for years ago. But the reason why I wanted to do political satire is because shows like John Oliver and Last Week Tonight, The Daily Show, and these types of comedic shows really change my perspective of the world. And so I wanted to do that for the digital age. And here we are 5 years later. It is my full-time job. I don't want to say we're thriving. Define thriving in the digital age at any point in time, but we are here and we are doing it.
I love it. I mean, what a time to be in political
What?
satire, huh? The
I know.
timeliness of this and talking to you
Listen,
is
I thought that
exciting.
comedy was legal again. I thought that that's what they ran on. Elon said it, so why isn't it true?
Right, especially because Trump low-key is so funny. Why isn't he just why isn't he more of a champion for the comics?
I was always just thinking we fucked up. Can I say fuck? I said fuck.
Yeah.
We fucked up as a society because I think there was a sliver of time when Elon and Trump and we had the chance to just let them be funny and we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We could have just given them a show. If I think he wanted Jimmy Kimmel gone because Trump actually wants Donald Trump live, and if we all just give them their show or their Netflix special and we all laugh at them and applause and say, "You're doing really good, honey," will they go away and leave us alone?
No, literally.
I think they're lonely men that want to be funny.
No, actually, I saw some hilarious creators say something or make some joke about if Trump was just a red carpet commentator and he got to just tear people apart on how they look, it would be the best role for him.
Like I said, there was all that controversy a few years ago of how dare you let these people host SNL? No, you know what? Let them host SNL every single day if it'll get them out of our hair.
Deal with their egos for sure. Well, what does your day-to-day look like as a content creator? I think to some, it's especially in the political space and the operative space, it's somewhat of a confusing, or a lot of people aren't totally tapped into the work and the time and the GOB job that it is. So I'm curious, can you kind of give us a snapshot into what that looks like for you? Because I also know it looks different for many creators too.
Yeah, and it's looked different for me this year than previous years as well. I can get into kind of this year I feel is a transition year into doing more in-person events. Great time for that. No, but, and like really kind of leaning into the comedy, leaning into the stand up a little bit more. And that takes a lot of time. Like you want to talk about content creation, stand up is so difficult and time
Yeah.
consuming. But let me just start how it looked like before. When yeah, and I'll put in quotation job because I only actually started making money doing political satire and doing making content only just last year. I had been doing it for 3.5, almost 4 years consistently every single day for 3.5, 4 years without making almost a dime. Like little things. I'm talking like $1,500 a year, kind of like small stuff. And so like during that time, my day to day would be wake up, look and see what the news is. And I was very blessed and fortunate that my husband is also my producer. That has been a different change too, because I lost him to someone who paid a little bit better than I did. Let's put it that way.
Damn.
One of us had to have a consistent income, and this wasn't going to be me in this space. So, but like when we first started, we did this all together. And we honestly would like wake up, look at the news. This was back when, I mean, we started in 2020 at the tail end of like Trump's first term. So waking up and looking at the news was such a different experience, not even that long ago, when Biden was in office. But we would just kind of see what was going on and decide in that day, like what the video of the day was going to be. And we would just, I mean, it was not, I mean, yes, we put a lot of thought into it, but it was like the quickness of like getting
Yeah.
these videos out as soon as we possibly could and making them funny and also informative, and all of it rolled into one. And we'd spend a few hours doing that. I would film it. I also edit. My husband was a great producer, but he like was really great with research and writing, but I actually like perform and edit it. And then from there we would get done around 5 in the afternoon, and then both of us would go off to wait tables because that's the
Because you got to.
reality.
Yeah.
Because that's a reality. And just to like give a little more context to that, we started doing this in 2020, and I actually had been in the entertainment industry. And I told you that I have a journalism degree, but I've been in the entertainment industry for almost 15 years. And in 2020, I was hosting a show on Quibi. If you remember, rest in peace.
Yes, of course. Rip.
Rest in peace to that job and pretty much any other job I ever had in entertainment. I mean, everything just changed after that. And I had already begun doing content while I still had that job at Quibi because we were doing it from my home. I was hosting a show and it looked kind of like this. It was like that was the beginning of like home sets basically.
Yeah.
And I had one for my show. And then when that ended, it wasn't entirely my intention to do this as my like full-time job, but the industry changed. I remember I had so many meetings with like big production companies, big platforms, national platforms about all these shows that they were trying to start, but the world was changing after COVID. The Hollywood industry had changed a ton after COVID and nothing materialized. And so content creation became my full-time thing, but it was not sustainable. So that's why we had to wait tables. And then during the election last year, when actually I had not had any idea that things like Way to Win or these other organizations that help creators make a living off of this, I had no idea y'all existed. But we all met last year and y'all helped me pay some of my bills. So I don't have to wait tables anymore. I do have another part-time job editing videos, but that's kind of the reality. I know that like, I think it's something like 80 to 90% of young kids want a YouTube channel or be a TikToker or whatever. And like, there's only such a small sliver that can just do this and not have to do a side hustle. And I am one of them side hustle queens.
Right. And I just want to nod to the fact that like, I mean, I also used to make content. I had a podcast and it's like we had, like 80,000 on TikTok, but it's like you can have 400K, 500K. That's a lot. That's a huge audience and you still can't really monetize. And so I just want to double click on that because that's so important. Like these are trusted messengers. This is how people get their information online. And if they can't sustainably do it and financially support themselves, like they're going to drop off and they're going to stop. So it's like just so crucial that creators
and
are
it's not
supported.
that it has been such a pain point in my career over the last 5 years. It's just like weighing these options. Like, yes, I am passionate about this. That's love. Like, yes, I believe in this. I want to do this. But at the end of the day, if I can't keep the lights on, like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah.
are we supposed to do? And even I will just be like so blunt and so honest. After 2020 and the beginning of 2021, I live in California. So to put into context, like, we had our restrictions in California a lot later than a lot of the country, for
Yeah.
better or for worse. That's a whole different conversation, but it
Yeah.
was just the reality. So there were no, I mean, obviously I said I had meetings that never materialized. There were just no jobs in the entertainment industry. But at that same time, like, I couldn't even get a job like at Starbucks because the restrictions were still so bad. And we were doing the content at that point. We had done hundreds of videos because we were really churning out one video per day at least, and very, very consistently, and growing and growing. And I think we had about 304,000 followers, and yet we were 1 month away from being homeless.
Mm.
Like, and people don't want to talk about that. People don't
Yeah.
want to talk about that at all. But that is the reality of this. And it's not, they're like, oh, just get another job. But like, circumstances of COVID, it was impossible. My husband and I were both unemployed at the same time. And this isn't even like a unique situation. Like, I think we're
Right.
only just, actually, I think we kind of just skipped over the grappling with COVID part of
Oh
our
yeah.
society and world. That is not good in my opinion. But we don't talk about like the long-term effects of like what that has had done to families. And
Yeah.
like, I hear it here and there, and I'm always more than happy to share like my story and my experience with it. But it's so interesting when I hear it from other people, because we just don't talk about it enough, about
Yeah.
how, like, yeah, we literally were 1 month, we had 1 month left of rent in our bank account.
Mhm.
And that was at the, and we had, yeah, like almost 500,000 followers. We had a sold out book. We had, all kinds of stuff, but the money does not always flow. And
Right.
especially when you want to do politics, it does not always flow.
Great point. That was my other thing I was going to say too, is that massive platforms and political creators or people who even dabble in politics, but it's maybe 30-20% of their content, like
Mm.
they still are risking their ability to get brand deals and be financially supported in other ways through their platforms. So again, it's just like so crucial for people to know the reality of that.
I
And
feel like we're
especially
scaring people away though.
no, no, it's okay. Well, it's hard work. And I think the other thing, it's like going viral isn't always easy either. And I wanted to hear from you, like, what does going viral mean to you? Like,
Ah.
again, another answer that I think could be different for different creators.
Yeah, it's, we've gone viral many times over the last like 5 years, and especially in the beginning. I will say, like, there was no better time to be on TikTok than
Mhm.
2020. And like, and now like the platforms just all change, and we can talk about how they're changing hands and what that's going to
Oh
do to
yeah.
this whole ecosystem. I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was never a better time for growth than in the beginning of 2020 for me, with TikTok. And even we found a lot of success on Twitter, even back before Elon kind of took over everything and changed everything. So we went viral quite a bit, and it's fun. Like, I've been in media long enough. Like, I was already, I wouldn't say I was a public figure because I wasn't like famous or well known. I didn't have a following before I started doing like political satire, but I had been in like that space long
Yeah.
enough and been on camera long enough to like not have it like affect me in a weird way, because I just kind of always like, cameras have just been always around me, so it's not a big deal. But it was so like rewarding to see my own work blow up in a certain way, and then like interacting with comments and stuff. So it's like there's that fun and that dopamine like of going viral. There's honestly nothing like it, and I hate to say that. I hate to say that I'm addicted to it, but I
It's
am.
yeah.
But it's just, I just am. It's a fun experience. But like, late, like, it all comes in waves, and it all like, but that was a moment in 2020 where we were going viral a lot. And then after things calmed down, after Trump lost and Biden was in office and the world was a little bit stable, it wasn't crazy, it wasn't great, but it was better than it was.
Mhm.
People check out and people got back to their normal lives, and they weren't at home on their phones 24 hours a day. So it changed. But I think the most fun that I've ever had, going viral, and like really kind of like pushed me into a whole different direction with my content was just last year. And it was a video we did called Post Row Shit Show. And I love this story so much, and it fits into exactly like what you're trying to do with this podcast, because that was the very first like big brand deal that I ever got. And it came from, I'm not sure where exactly it came from, but it came from an organization similar to Way to Win. And in fact, that's how I met you guys. Was I performed that, or I showed that video at the DNC and the Way to Win like amplify and vocal little like showcase that y'all had with creators. But the whole reason I got to do that video was because they had offered me more money than any other brand deal I had ever had. And I remember my manager and my husband, who was my producer, I was like, I want to take some of this money and I want to invest it into like a good quality video. Because I've done videos like this where I sit and I tell you all the things and they're cute, or I do a green screen. It's very similar to like what a lot of people do. But for years, I have had ideas of how to like elevate the content, but I never had the capital to do it. And my manager and my husband / producer tried to talk me out of it and said, don't do it. Like, just take the money, like put it into savings and just keep chugging along. But I stuck to my guns and we did that video and it went so viral. And in addition to like getting tons and tons of followers, like that was the moment that it changed the trajectory of my career, because I pushed myself in a direction that I didn't know that I could do, that the people who support me like through and through didn't know that I could pull off. It caused a lot of stress, but we just kept getting more and more. It just like kept compounding from there. And that's the moment that it changed to where like I was like, oh wait, I could actually make this a career, because that's what pushed me into getting all these connections with like Way to Win and stuff like that. And you guys fund a lot of what you see right here.
No, sorry.
I was just gonna say it. That's how it happened, and it's like speaks to the testament of like when you invest in creators, like that is the potential, because I didn't have the resources to do it. And then of course like the message gets out too. Like the best thing about that video, of course, like the glory of like watching it go viral, but that video was about reproductive rights, which is very, very, very important to me. And it was about I dressed up like a 1950s housewife, but to see the comment section, because it was such a funny little skit, but to see them in the comment section be like, I hadn't thought about childcare that way, or I didn't think about Project 2025 this way, and then like engaging with each other, that's also a testament to like when you present something in a different way, people perceive it differently than just me, the talking liberal girl on Instagram, being like, reproductive rights are good and we should fight for this over and over and over. Like it reaches a whole different audience. And that was exciting to me.
There's so much to unpack from that, because all of it I'm obsessed with and is so core to like everything we believe in and we want to do and help do for creators in this space. Because it's like we have to find digestible ways to communicate these really important messages to like literally like shift worldviews. Like that is a big task, and it's not always the case that it like will work and be effective just like face to camera, quick little I'm going to talk to you. It's like, how can I put it in a format that people really resonate with and like have fun with, and ultimately like that message sinks deeper in. But then also just like I love hearing that like being able to invest in yourself, but like also it's such a nod to like, oh, we can also invest in creators like for them, so you don't have to use your own like capital to do that, and that it goes a long way and it's super effective strategy for communicating to voters and beyond. So all of that I just ate up. Thank you. Well, I want to get into kind of like what is going on online right now. I feel like
you've been online, Maddie. Come on.
I have, and I actually recently had to delete TikTok, and I'm just on Instagram right now. I was like I'm trying to detox a little bit, but it's like our jobs, you know, we can't really do that. So I'm doing my best, but I mean, we had last month, we are doing these creator episodes now. We had Aaron Parnas on last month. And I just like can't emphasize enough like this specific moment we're in and like the last couple weeks how insane it's been online. I mean, it has been all year, but like truly I feel like, and I don't know if you feel the same, but at least for me, I like truly it's been nuts, to say the absolute least. So what currently is like dominating your feed, which is like such a loaded question because we are like literally drowning in information and overwhelming news. So when I ask that, I mean, yeah, there's like actual topics. So there's Jimmy Kimmel or news piece, but it's also like, what are like kind of like narratives or like sentiments that you're feeling that like are really hitting and that I think, you know, audiences are feeling, if that's whether you're consuming it in your comments or what.
Here's the thing, like I'm in such a weird place with content right now in general. Not that I'm not doing it because I still am, but I had a chit chat with myself after Trump won. I've got to go back. I love how you asked me one question and I'm like, well, let me go back 5 years first. I feel like Rachel Maddow when I have to give you the entire context, but this is such a loaded question because I did when Trump won the election. I did not hold space in my mind for that to happen.
Me neither.
And it truly shocked me. And that is a lesson that all of us liberals and especially people in this space have been grappling with, because I did realize that I do have a bubble. Like everything, the vibes felt so good. How did we all get it so wrong? Right. And so I really had to like reckon with that. Like, what could I do differently? And also like for my own sanity as well, because like I realized that I had not covered Trump like much. I started doing this. I think our first video was like June 2020. Like it was the tail end. The election had already started. Like, you know, so I did not have to deal with a day to day of covering Trump. And I knew that we were going to have to do that this year. And so I was just like, hold for that. I really was just like, what do I want to do that will resonate with people, but also for my own sanity and to protect my own sanity. And I landed on comedy. And I landed on like world building outside of the internet, like, and just really, really, really getting to know the voters in a different way offline. And that, like, last year was the first time in my whole content creation career that I got to step outside of this little box. And I got to like go to Wisconsin and I got to go to Chicago and actually talk to people. It was such a different experience and it had a profound effect on me that's why I've decided like I wanted to build this show and tour around and take other creators around with me all over the country. That's what we're building right now. So, but that said, because I've shifted gears in that way, like the day-to-day content has changed so dramatically since I mean, even just a few months. Like, let me like from a content creation standpoint too. I know there's a lot. I've been on a lot of like founder like algorithms lately. Like everybody's trying to build their brand, and there's all this talk about how it, and it's not wrong talk, but about how like creators are the new celebrities and stuff like that. And I really have been trying to think about how to make this a sustainable career for me. So all that to say is like when you start putting together like aspects of your business, your content suffers if you don't have a team. And like again, just to speak to, I feel like this is just a fundraising podcast at this point to speak to the value of like we can't do everything. We're all individual creators. And so when I'm like doing something out of the box, that my content suffers. So I don't know what's resonating with audiences much this year because I haven't like had a ton of videos break through the noise. And I don't know if it's because, and like obviously other creators have, like you mentioned Aaron Parnas. I don't know how that man functions.
No.
Because I am not that kind of person that could just sit there and crank out 10, 12 videos a day and just tell you the bad news. And God bless him for doing it. But, and obviously he has found a lot of success in that over the year. But like, that is not that's not where I'm at. You know, that's not something that I can sustain or manage. And also, it doesn't fit with like the comedy aspect of it and laugh. It doesn't work that way. So I don't really know what. That's like a hard and vulnerable thing to admit that I don't know what I'm doing. But but the world has just changed so dramatically, and my attitudes have changed so dramatically, and my followers, like you talked about feeling, what's everybody feeling? Now that I do know because I ask. I try, even though I can't post as much as frequently as I would like to these days, the last like few months as we're gearing up for some shows. But like, I try to check in with everybody, and I wanted to do like a long form YouTube video, and I literally just asked on my stories, I'm like, how is everybody feeling? And it's so sad. Like, nobody is feeling good. And I scroll through the comment sections about even the videos that I do, and everybody's just like, we're so fucked, aren't we? And I don't have answers. I don't have this bright and sunny, like, end of the rainbow kind of answer for them. It does not feel good.
It does not feel good. I think that is the realest answer you could have given. And it's like, it just truly like there's no way to sugarcoat it right now.
Mhm.
It's like it's as bad as we're saying, and as we
Or that
feel
we
it
that
is.
this is how I'm feeling in it. It's as bad as we told y'all it was going to
That
be.
part.
And
Yep.
I try very hard. I am not one of those creators. God bless the roasters of the internet.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them, but privately, I'm like, we told you everything
Everything.
that's happened. I'm like, oh yeah, I did a video on that. Oh yeah, I did a video on that. I told you about this. I'm like, why didn't y'all listen?
No, truly. I mean, it was literally laid out in a playbook, Project 2025. Thank you.
Right. Oh,
Here we
that
are.
one, that 900-page book that they
That one
sent.
that we had create like 100 creators make content, multiple pieces of content on last
Well,
year. It's just
actually, I
crazy.
will. Here's the thing I will say, because we were one of the early like creators on Project 2025. I told you that my husband, don't tell anybody I told you this, but he's smarter than me. It goes to his head if he thinks I need to let him think that I'm the boss. Okay.
Right, of course.
No, but he knew about Project 2025 before I ever heard like mainstream media talk about it. And so we started a series called Project 2025: How Democracy Dies. And that series last year was one of our most successful things that we've ever done. Like, I think the first video we posted got 2 million views on TikTok, which in today's algorithm, like, that's crazy to get kind of like those numbers. And so we did 9 episodes in that series, and they all did really, really well, right? Well, this past year, I was like, yeah, like after Trump won in the past few months, I was like, well, like something happened. I think it was the Department of Education. That's what it was. And we're like, oh, we did that whole video on Project 2025. And then I rewatched the video. I'm like, well, this information is still the same. It's still valid. Like, because we just basically like ran down in a funny way, like how, like what they were wanting to do with the Department of Education. And so we just reposted it. And it blew my mind because people were still so interested. It went viral again. And like we've reposted these older videos that are still relevant. And they're still finding an audience. And I kind of had thought that like people didn't care about Project 2025 because the reality is, what are we gonna do about it? Nothing. Like, but people still care about that kind of stuff. So now we're trying to like do some more episodes and revive that series because that actually is still resonating with people. I know people don't like to admit that they're wrong. Ain't nobody likes to admit it, but I think there is a general sense of like, oh, I should have paid attention to this last year. Okay, better late than never, you know?
Totally. We're finding that's true as well, that it's like it's so important right now to connect the dots to
Yeah.
like what is happening right now. And that,
Mhm.
because the other thing is like people do operate in this fractured environment and like in their silos, and even people on the right or who are moderately on the right, whatever it may be, are still getting a different reality of what like maybe you and I are getting fed through
Yeah.
our algorithms. So I mean, it's important we cut through the noise, which is like, again, so difficult. But there's like, I feel like kind of two key audiences here. And of course, there's a spectrum. But like in my mind, it's like those who are like trying to keep up and like stay tapped in and like are really experiencing this overwhelm that we're
Yeah.
experiencing.
That's
And
me.
then, yeah, hey, me. And there's also those who like, prefer to have not have to see all of this that's
Yeah.
going on, and maybe are these like news avoiders. And so I'm curious from your perspective, like how do we reach the news avoiders? And I think you do it in such a special way through your content of like comedy and satire, and again, like you laid out with your video last year, it's like, how do you reach those audiences who like just never consume political content?
Yeah.
And I'm curious what your kind of tips and tricks are, and how crucial you think it is to like tap into those like cultural content streams. And
Oh, yeah.
can you talk
Well,
about that?
oh, absolutely. Well, it's twofold for me. We'll start with like the content creation side. I mean, the post roast shit show was like, again, like a perfect example of that. It looks different. It's a good, I mean, the biggest thing that we could possibly do in this like information overload, and it's not even just like, we're not even fighting with just like Fox News versus MSNBC. We're fighting with beauty influencers, and we're fighting with
Mm-hmm.
cute dogs, and we're fighting with couples content and therapy. Like, it is
Literally.
all just, it's not, there's gone are the times where you can't just go to TikTok and be like, show me just the news. It's not
Right.
like that. It's just a constant feed. So a
Mm-hmm.
feed interrupter is a really, really good way to catch people's attention. And that's where I come in with like the skits and like the more high profile or the higher quality like
Mm-hmm.
skits. We just posted one just last week. It was called Hooked on Fossils, and it was a video we did in collaboration with Yellow Dot and their whole thing, Yellow Dot Studios. It's owned by Adam McKay, and the whole concept of that was to have like the skit, this like gym teacher saying wild and crazy stuff, and we created this like world where the gym teacher was getting in trouble for saying climate change. And like it's funny and it's a
Yeah.
skit, but it's not like, I mean, sure, I could sit there and I could tell you all the facts about climate change and how it hurts your health and how, how we react to it and how children have to do flood drills at school now and like all these things. I could tell you that, or I could put it in a funny skit. And because it looks different, because it's a little more high quality, because it's not in your face, believe this climate change messaging, it blew up. So I
Right.
think a pattern disruptor or a feed disruptor is a really, really great way to do it. Again, nothing wrong with like Aaron Parnas, but I can't hear the breaking news every single
No.
every
Yeah.
single day. Something a little bit different that is going to cut through and just presenting it in a different and funny way. And that's always been what I try to do. I mean, I do my explainers too. It is no secret. I've told everybody who will have ears and will listen that I would love to host a show like John Oliver and just tell you the facts in a funny way. That is great. But at the end of the day, like, I want someone to be scrolling along through the beauty, through the dogs, through the breaking news, and then stop on a funny video of mine and walk away from that 1 minute that they spend with me and go, huh, well, I think about climate change a little differently now. Or
Yep.
I think about, reproductive rights a little differently now. And then they'll continue scrolling on, and that's the name of the game. But that's my strategy when it comes
Yeah.
to like online information.
And
Now,
I just, oh,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to add to that. Like, I think it's also, especially when talking about like news avoiders, it's like some of these people,
Yes.
like, if they sense or smell that it's like the little,
Oh,
like a
yeah.
little bit political, they're like, oh, get away.
Scroll.
But yeah, when you embed it into comedy or culture, what were these other topics you mentioned? Like, they'll stick around, and that like embeds this issue in their brain. Like, oh, I should probably like keep tabs on what's happening in reproductive
Right.
rights, and like what's
Right.
going on with my reproductive rights, or is there movement on climate change? Like those ideas, because of this like insane world we live in and these algorithms that like are just dumping content to people's brains, like as much as we can just like push back and like give them issue-based content or values-based content, like the better.
No, for 100%. And I just think it really, like, the other thing too is like those videos always bring more followers, and that's great because like the bread and butter of my content really is just me sitting right here listing off a bunch of facts. And so if we can grab you with a skit, and then the next video you see from me is about the Trump administration and how, and this issue or whatever, then good. Then we grabbed you with a cultural thing. Now we're going to hammer in the facts. And that's like, that is the whole name of the game, is to like build following, build community, get people involved. I mean, back in 2020, and even honestly in last year too, like I can't even tell you how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages I got from people that was like, I've never been involved in politics until I came across your channel, or this was was the first time I ever registered to vote because I learned about something off your channel. And I hope that other creators are experiencing that as well, because it keeps us going. You know, there's doom and gloom, it feels good to know that we're like making a difference
Chipping
for
away.
sure. Yeah, for sure. But it's also, it means it's working too. We're not just putting out more noise. There's something to
Right.
like back it up. But then to answer your other question too about, you know, like these cultural moments and why I've been trying to build over the last like year offline. Again, like I just felt so strongly after the election that I needed to get out of my silo. I needed to get out of my own echo chambers. I wanted to get out into the world a little bit more and meet people where they are, wherever that is. And so we've built my show called the Star Spangled Banter Show, and it's a comedy show that I host, but then I also bring in a ton of other amazing creators and comedians. And what we're trying to do now is it's a group of like political creators that are in like my peer space and my colleagues and stuff like that, but also regular, more mainstream comedians. And the idea for that is like obviously live events. Well, up until about 2 weeks ago, live events were doing really great.
Yeah.
Now, now things have shifted a bit, but and it'll come back. I believe that. But like, you know, we saw earlier this year with the Bernie and the AOC rallies, and
Mhm.
like these big people just need community. And
Totally.
I don't like to admit it, but there's no avoiding it. The right has been so much better at building community, giving
Mhm.
things, giving people a reason to show up in person and engaging them in such a different and unique way. And Charlie, for all of his faults, and I'm not going to list them all, but I have some in my mind. He was a genius when it came to grabbing people's attention
Of course.
online and offline, and
Yep.
building these chapters all over the country in different schools and universities. And I did not like his message, not a secret, but I can't argue that the strategy
Was
worked,
was there.
was there. And so I started to think like, what is, and this was even before, it's like kind of all serendipitous because this I've been thinking about this way before the events happened.
Mhm.
But I was just like, what could we do? And so like if you go to a Bernie rally, like you're probably gonna vote. Like you're probably gonna show up. You're
Right.
probably already there. Like if you can show up to a Bernie rally, I think it's pretty safe to say we have you as
Yeah.
a member who's going to like show up and vote and do their part. But someone who comes to a comedy show to see one of their mainstream comedians, we may not have them. So if we can mix in those cultural moments, those cultural people, and comedy all of a sudden is becoming such an important part of this conversation. If you can go to a show and to go see one of your favorite comics and walk away like learning something about from one of the other creators, and my show also has like political panels with like a politician and also
Mhm.
local leaders, and we're really trying to localize and like lift up creators that are local to the places as well. We did in Chicago, we did Richmond, and really localize it. You might just walk away like being registered to vote, or walk away thinking about the world a little bit differently than when you walked in. And that is my goal too. So there's the online strategy, and then there's the in real life strategy. And as I told you, I've already given away the bag. I don't know what I'm doing, but but we are doing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but also online and offline strategies go hand in hand. Like
Yes.
we call it IRL to URL, like because there's also literal content you get from these
Yeah,
in-person events. You guys are clipping
exactly.
your shows, you're putting them
Exactly.
online. People, there's a digital footprint to them as well, and that's also kind of like the turning point. Charlie Kirk secret
Yep.
sauce as well is like, yeah, they're getting on the ground to like make real connections with people and doing that kind of like on the ground relational organizing, and they're able to push that same message out to like millions of people through their channels online. So those
Exactly.
are those are definitely key strategies. And I mean, like you've already touched on this, and we're in a specific time right now where things are very tense. And with his killing, things have been insane
Yeah.
online, but especially for creators. And I just want to like first nod, like for everyone listening, like we have to name like how high stakes this moment is for content creators, and like
Yeah.
the weight, the carrying, how you're carrying the weight of like sharing vital messages and information in an environment where like harassments and threats and like true physical danger are like very real. And so, like, literally, where even mild criticism of this president can bring serious risk, whether it's your livelihood and your financial status, or whether it's your truly like your physical safety. And yet, you know, you're still showing up every day. And so I don't know, I want to ask you like how you're experiencing the reality as being a creator, and like being, especially in this public space, as someone who comments at all on politics, but especially just satire. And just like in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death, and the last couple of weeks, like I said, have been so scary to say the least. So I'm just curious how it's been for you, and like how you're coping, and like where you see it going from here.
Nowhere good.
Yeah.
No. I mean, truly, it was a nice shot of adrenaline to have Jimmy come back last night,
Yeah.
because it does feel like, okay, we did something worthwhile. But at the end of the day, the only reason it happened was because Disney lost $3.8 billion. Of course, that was a collective boycott that we got, we got that, but we're heading down a very, very, very dark path. And I will say, like the world was already pretty fucked like before Charlie's death, but I felt it shift. I felt it in real time. I
Same.
was actually on a call like when it happened. um I had literally just hit send to blast out my location of where our show in Richmond was going to be. And like it was starting the push. We were about a month away, so it was starting the online push of like, buy your tickets. Here's all the creators. Here's the exact location and the time for 400 people. And I
Mhm.
literally had hit send, and then my husband came in to tell me that it had happened. And obviously, like, that was shocking, but I immediately jumped on a call with other creators because I'm in the
Mhm.
forest group. And so there were 50 of us just like sharing information and just having a moment. And I found out that he had died while I was on that call. And I had to take myself on a walk
Yeah,
because I just couldn't. I saw the video, not that I meant to, but it was just there.
of course.
And I just had to, I was like, I took myself for a walk, had my headphones on, was listening, like was engaging in this phone call, like people walking by, and I'm just hysterically crying
Yeah.
because not necessarily for Charlie, although seeing anything like that, doesn't matter who it is, so traumatic.
Right.
But this like pit in my stomach as I point to my chest, this pit in my chest of of this is about to get so much worse. And everything that I was fearing, it didn't even take an hour for the Republicans, the elected officials, to come out and place blame on anybody. All the things that I had feared in
Yeah.
my mind was coming true. And then, of course, like, the fallout of that was we actually had to cancel the show
Mhm.
that we had planned for 400 people for the public in Richmond. We're pivoting, and I actually haven't like revealed this yet because it's still such a moving target right now, of like all the details. But we just quietly had to like cancel the show for everyone's safety because we have
Yeah.
creators that have millions of followers, and it just didn't seem like a safe thing to do. And so reckoning with that, and the feelings of like, yes, this is bad for the country, but also like the personal disappointment in something that I've truly spent this entire year building.
Right.
And it's coming together in so many great ways, and to have it literally fall apart from no like fault of my own. And that is just the reality of like the political space, but also like just the reality of the online space in general, because you can put so much work and you could be growing and growing and growing and building, and you have built this beautiful community. And it's across the board for any creators, not even political creators. And then all of a sudden some billionaire gets control of the algorithm, and you lose it all. This is such a volatile industry to begin with, and there's so many things out of your control. So just reckoning with like the personal heartache of that, as far as like my and how it affects my work and my livelihood, because we had one show that was already booked, one show in the works. We were actually in the process of booking it, and then the venue came back and said we can't do politics. So that got
Mm.
canceled. And then
Wow.
these other shows that we were putting together with some very, very big candidates. I won't name names just because it was never public, but like very, very big candidates who pulled out. And
Mhm.
all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, that was like, that's my work, that's my livelihood. And now it's gone. And now we have to pivot into something completely different. And so there's so many moving parts. And I will be honest, I think I've cried pretty much every day since it
Yeah.
happened. I cried today? I did a little bit already today. I mean, I'm laughing because what else am I going to do besides cry?
Yeah.
But it is such a heavy time.
It's such
And
a
I
heavy time.
I have not found a reckoning with it yet. I'm angry a lot. I'm sad a lot. I have not found a ton of joy in this work over the last month. I'll be
Yeah, yeah.
honest. And I don't know. I mean, I want to say that it'll all work out and it'll all be fine, but I don't know that to be true.
No, yeah, I think that's the part. That's part the scariest part in a lot of ways. Like, and first of all, thank you for sharing all that. And like, you're not alone in that. I think
Good.
whether,
I'm glad. I'm not good that everyone is having a meltdown all
but it's
collectively, but it
nice to
does feel
know.
better.
It does. It's nice to know you're not alone,
I'm
and
not the crazy one.
you're not alone in those feelings. But you're also not alone, like in the fight broadly. And it's like whether you're a creator or you're an operative in the space or you're a staffer on the Hill, whatever it is, like we're all just going through it. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes, and especially when you're, like actually just working online, working remote, and like not in those community spaces like we've talked about. It makes it hard to be like, what the hell are we even doing this for? Like, are we cooked? I don't know. But to end, I want to like try to like look forward in a hopeful way. It's kind of, or at least in a strategic way. And from your perspective, like as we near the end of this like truly dreadful year, which is like so nuts, we're like almost to the end of the year, kind of. And as we head into like a major election year where I mean, partly what's been hard for me this year is like we truly have like no legislative power unless you're literally
none.
Governor Newsom. And that's hard because it's like, okay, what are we supposed to tell people to do? What are we working for? But like next year, like I'm holding out, I'm like, get me through the holidays. So like we can get into this like election year, which is obviously also going to be stressful and brutal, but like at least we'll be like working towards getting something done that can change this. So with that said, what do you think is missing from like current conversations, current strategies when it comes to like how to reach people online? Like, what do you think as we go into next year, like we really need to hammer home to like get people on our side and activated to turn out in the right ways come November of next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's twofold, and I'll just be very, very blunt with the first one. One, resources. And I know we're on this podcast talking about the creator space, so I know you're on my side on this one, but it is very, very, very difficult to get people to fund us for a lot of reasons. And I know that they poured a shit ton of money into an election that we lost so badly. Like, so I get it. The return on investment isn't great. And a lot of people who aren't following like the creator space, but are also just like maybe don't know Charlie Kirk, but don't understand Turning Point and those organizations and how they're funded. I think a lot of people miss like, well, how come the right gets funded, but the left doesn't get funded? Well, because the left tells the rich people who give them the money that they need to be taxed more, like simple things like that. But like funding at the end of the day, I spend way too much time trying to find money to go out to communities, and like it's just if I could spend that time making content, I feel like the world would be a better place. And I know it's I mean, yes, money makes the world go round, and this is a conversation that we'll always be having, and I'm not afraid to just straight up ask for it, or straight up just like tell it like it is, because sure, hearts and minds and all the things, but like I would love to be able to post 2-3 times a day, and I don't have the capacity because I have to do part-time job, or whether it was waiting tables, or I can't afford to hire help, for whatever, because the funds aren't there. So if we could have funding in the same way that the right has invested into funding for the last 20 some odd years. They've been doing it for so long. If we could have even a fraction of what they have, I think that would be monumental in just getting out that information. But then of course it's what is the information? So we gave you the money. What are you going to do? And I think for me, and like my mantra this past year, and as we head into next year too, because like my whole plan for this year was to build up the show, do a few shows, but then I want to be in districts. I want politicians who are running, I want them to come to the show, to come to my shows and talk to people like they're a person and not a politician. Authenticity, like for all Caroline Levitt's lies, she tells the truth about one thing. Donald Trump is authentic. And she said it the other day. I don't even remember what the context was. Oh, about how, oh, that's what it was. He said at Charlie Kirk's funeral, perfect time to say that he hates his enemies because, you know, the man is a fucking lunatic. But he said that. And so she was asked about that the next day in the press briefing. And she goes, people like his authenticity. Like, she's not wrong. Like, people want to connect with their politicians on a human level before they want to connect with them on a political level. And that is what I'm trying to build with the show, is to just like bring out the candidates in a space. I have a rule in my show. You're not allowed to wear a suit. You're not allowed to do a stump speech. We're not doing any of that, because you should be able to just talk to, this is your community.
Yeah.
Talk to them like a person, you know, connect with them on a different level, on their level, not these stump speeches that we see over and over and over. So that's my idea of what to do with all that money, and how we can reach people, is just the authenticity. Like, we have to get out of our phones, we have to get out of our silos. I mean, for all of Charlie Kirk's faults, he understood that too. Is like, we have to be out there and talk to people. Although I would try to do it a lot nicer and more respectful. But the basics of that is, we just have to talk to people.
Yeah.
Connect with them.
I agree. I completely agree. Well, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much to our special guest, Heather Gardner. I mean, I could literally talk to you for 5 more hours, but go follow Heather on all of the things. We'll add your handles and stuff to the show notes. But do you have anything else to plug or add as a closing note?
No, just don't. Here's the thing: don't give up. I have been traveling to. I traveled to Europe a few times, like 3 years in a row. But this was the first year in a while that I like stayed home, and I traveled to a whole bunch of different places: Tennessee, Illinois. We're going to Virginia, Vegas, like all these different places. And I'm struck by how beautiful this place is. I'm struck by, once you just get out of your own information ecosystem, that we're all just people trying to do the same things. We're all trying to figure it out at the same time. And America is worth fighting for. Even in this horrible time where it feels like we're about to lose it. No, not yet. It is worth fighting for. She is worth fighting for. And I'm going to keep doing that.
She is worth fighting for. I needed to hear that. I'm sure so many people did. So thank you. And thank you to our listeners. Please rate and review us. Do all the things. It surely helps. And with that, we'll see you next Thursday.